Hey, good morning, it's Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Back about 6 weeks ago, I did a video blog on get ready for the Vancouver housing crash talk. And when I posted that video, like any video I do that talks about a real estate crash in Vancouver or anything negative, I know I'm going to get a lot of comments on my YouTube blog and a lot of emails and a lot of views. I got a couple thousand views on that from my website within the first couple of days. People like the negative stuff and they love to comment on it, but there was a guy, and this guy has posted before on my YouTube blog before, and he's one of those guys that still thinks that it's better to rent than it is to buy, and he rents and saves the difference. And he posted a link to an article in the Globe and Mail. And I'm not going to give you the name of the author of this. This guy is what I would call a perma-bear. He's based in Toronto. He's been calling for a real estate correction in Toronto and Vancouver for about 15 years. One of these days he's going to get it right. But if you would have listened to him 15 years ago, I mean, and bought a house in Toronto or Vancouver, you'd be up 300% now anyways. But this was in the August 16th Globe and Mail. And he linked this to an article by this guy, and I'm not going to give you his name, as I say, because the Globe and Mail newspaper is a good newspaper. I read it every weekend. They've been very good to me. They've done lots of articles on my real estate business and some of the sales I've had. They've also done profiles on me as an investor as well. And everyone's got the right to their opinion. You've got pros and cons to everything. This guy is definitely a con when it comes to real estate. He doesn't believe in it at all. Now, he posted this blog, and he had a couple of things in there. He talked about how a lot of millennials, a lot of younger people these days are starting to choose to rent as opposed to buy. And there's a number of reasons for it. Some of them are fine. Some people just don't want to commit to home ownership and the 25 years it's going to take to pay off your house. But I blogged about it before. I think the pros outweigh the cons. But he had posted a link there to some weird market stat. It was called the CNBC average price to rent for major centers in Canada. And this guy in my YouTube blog posted a link to that saying, you see, it's a lot better to rent than it is to buy. Look at these numbers. So I clicked on the link and went into Vancouver. And according to this stat, and you can make stats do whatever you want, as you know. It all depends on what kind of information you're putting into the calculations. But according to this graph that he came up with, or this market analysis for rent, they say that the average price to rent a 2-bedroom condo in Vancouver is $1,345 a month. And they had another line that marked up 10% for prime location in view, came to $1,480 a month to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in Vancouver. So anyone that's watching my blog here from Vancouver knows that you cannot rent a 2-bedroom apartment, a prime 2-bedroom apartment, for $1,480 a month. It's just not there. You can't even rent a good 1-bedroom apartment in Vancouver, in downtown Vancouver, for $1,500 a month. It's not going to happen. Now, if you want to know what you can rent things for, as I say, these statistic packages that they put out in Ottawa can tell you anything they want you to hear. Just go on to Craigslist and Kijiji and look up 1- and 2-bedroom apartments in there, and that'll give you the facts right there on what a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom apartment is renting for. I can tell you that a 1-bedroom apartment in Yaletown, you could buy it for $450, is renting for between $1,800 and $2,100 a month. A good 2-bedroom in the downtown core you can buy for $900,000, and it's renting for probably around $3,400 a month for a 2-bedroom. Those are the numbers. This $1,480 a month, I don't know where they're getting that from. Now, in the article as well, they talk about how younger people are choosing to rent as opposed to buying. In my opinion, people that I talk to, home ownership is at an all-time high in Canada right now. Most young people I'm working with recognize the advantages to owning your principal residence as opposed to renting it, especially in the long term. Now, if you are living in Vancouver and there's a possibility that you're going to have to move in another year or two and you don't have a backup plan to rent that unit, and keep it if the market goes down, then I would say just keep renting. But if you have a long-term horizon, you are going to do far better owning your principal residence as opposed to being a lifetime renter. we would need to get interest rates back up to 8-9% before we could even get the conversation going on what's better between renting and investing the difference, or buying and holding the property. So, but the thing I see with young people now, it's not so much that they don't want to own, it's that it's getting that down payment together. Because buying a property right now with a one-bedroom condo, let's say in Vancouver, is actually cheaper now than it was in 2008. The prices are up, but the interest rates are half of what they were 6 or 7 years ago. So the hard part for most people, what I see in my business, is getting that $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 down payment. Some of them will borrow from mom and dad. If you don't have that luxury, then that's where the barrier to entry is coming in, is saving for that down payment. That's what's preventing more people from renting versus buying. Any smart guy wants to buy, and I don't know where this Globe and Mail guy is getting his stats from or who he's interviewing, but in my experience, most young people now, if they've got any level of education, realize that you're far better off buying as opposed to being a lifetime renter. That's for sure. But the barrier I see for most young people is getting that down payment in place. And that's why you got to start when you're young. I've blogged about it many times before. You got to make some sacrifices. But if you can get into your first place, buy your principal residence when you're in your 30s, it'll be one of the best financial moves you can make when you look back on it when you get into your 60s. And that's the fact. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.